the God particle. If you're watching this video, you already know what it is and how our Lord and Savior, Jason Joshua, totally dominated the plugin game with this for like the last 2, maybe even 3 years now. But if you're one of the few out there that have been living under a rock or something, or you just haven't had access to the internet, then I'll put my intro video or review, whatever it's called, up here so you can check it out. And on that note, it's been a year since I made that video and I thought it's about time I do an update video. Am I still using it? If I am, what am I using it for? Spoiler alert, I am. I think it's dope. But basically today, I'm gonna show you how I'm using the God particle on my master bus and the chain of plugins I'm using to complement it. So anyway, enough of this A-roll nonsense. Let's flip to the desk. Let me load up a session and let me show you how I'm using the God particle now in 2025 and my plugin chain that goes with it. Let's go. Boom. All right, boom. I'm at the desk. I don't know if you noticed, but I made some updates to my setup. Let me know in the comments if you think it looks nice or not. Got some new cameras, new audio, all that stuff, trying to get you guys the best YouTube videos I possibly can. Let me know in the comments if you think it looks better or you think, Josh, you suck. And yeah, on that note as well, you may as well, whilst you're there, hit the like button. Subscribe if you ain't subscribed. I'm getting back to my normal schedule. Going to be releasing videos weekly. We've got some great stuff in the pipeline as well. Enough talking about me and the channel. Anyway, let's get back to what you came here for, which is the God particle. I've got it loaded up here, as you can see. I've got a project set up. I've used this one on the channel a few times. It's Green Light by DJ K Wise featuring Buju Banton and Black Sheriff. I really enjoy mixing this tune, so I use this one a lot on the channel. Let me know if you know any records that I've mixed as well and you want me to review them or start bringing them into the videos. Leave them in the comments below if there's any records that you know that I've worked on and that you want to hear me work on. Yeah, so God particle load up. So basically, introduction, how I start using the God particle. Now, when I'm doing a mix, any mix, literally any mix, I will have it on from the very beginning. I set it up because it works in a few different ways. So before I get into my master chain, one of the reasons why I have it set up is because I know in my head, logically thinking, at some point we're going to put a limiter on this mix, right? So I want to mix into my limiter. So I'm not doing all of this work, making this record sound amazing, dynamic, full, and then I whack a limiter on it and, you know, I've gone about it in the wrong way. A few things aren't lining up and I sort of then have to go back and re-look at my mix. So I whack a limiter on it from the jump to make sure that when I'm mixing in, it sounds good and it's going to sound good with a limiter. Now, whether or not I use the God particle at the end when I'm mastering it or not, or maybe the client's got his own mastering engineer or whatever and they ask for all that stuff to be taken off, fine. But at least I know that with my settings, this mix sounds great. Most of the time, my clients are cool. They love my master chain. Another reason why I think this plugin is so great and why it deserves another look in, because most of the time my clients are taking the mix and taking the master, because I always deliver. I'm a mix engineer, but I do always deliver a mix and a master just as part of my service, just because of the way I mix and how I mix into a master chain anyway, and then I'll adapt it at the end. You know, one of the things that I like looking at with the God particle as well is I have this system. When I'm mixing my drums, for instance, I'm looking at this indicator. If I'm hitting in the right places, Jason Joshua's, his emulation of how he likes to sound things, like his curve of his ears, I guess, if you want to call it. I'll have that from the jump. So, you know, when I start mixing my drums, I've made a video on this, but so I won't go into too much detail in this video, but I'll have Shadow Hills loaded up. I'll pull up my kick drum. Once -1 is hitting on the kick drum, I know that with these settings, I'm going to be hitting the God particle in the right way for it to sound good, punchy, and dynamic, and then that gives me my foundational starting block to then mix the rest of the record around. So it always starts with a kick, going into Shadow Hills, going into God particle, if that makes sense. I tend to not have any other plugins on my master bus when I'm doing my main mix. The only other one I have, as you can see here, is the Streamliner. I just like to have this up because I like to keep a constant eye on my LUFS, the dynamics, and as well, I'll always put like the client's like reference in here as well, so I can quickly A/B, make sure I'm not going too left of the mix from like a creative standpoint, balance standpoint of how they initially wanted it, if they want me to like work closely to it or not. if you see what I'm saying. But most of the time you'll find, even if they say, oh, go crazy, if you don't sort of like stay in line with what they've sent you, they're going to be like, yo, what's going on? You know what I mean? Because they've so used to hearing that demo for so long. If you just deliver them something totally different, gone as they said, crazy with it, they're gonna think you're crazy, that's for sure. So once I've basically got it, this would be like essentially where my mix would be at the end, and then I'm gonna start to think about my mastering process. So this is the mix. I'll play it to you now, just with the gold particle on, nothing else, and sort of like where I'm come to the end stages of the mix and I'm happy, and I'm gonna start to think about mastering. I'll play you a little snippet now.
When we spoke, feel it right, everybody gon' know it. Pull up in the style, see nobody for show. And we used to live right on the roads, on my knees and toes, tryna make some dough. Well, I the man them was worried. So me, you come the right in my story. Too many savages in my story. I was never the type to be.
Cool. You get the idea. Sounding good, sounding balanced, sounding full. I'm happy with this mix. I'm gonna start thinking about mastering. This video is not gonna be too much about the actual God particle, because we sort of know what this does at this point. We know how it sounds. It's how I'll mix into the God particle and the plugins that I use around the God particle. As you can see, just going through my settings now, these might adjust as I go through my chain and I start adding plugins on, but normally I've got you know, the particle amount here, if that's what it's called. I think it's more like a blend of the sort of multi-band that you've got going on here at 53%. I never really go to, I'll probably never go much higher than like 60-70% nowadays. I used to kind of keep it at 100 or even more. I feel like it adds quite a lot of brightness and shine to the mix. I kind of like to pull that from other areas, especially my master chain, which I'm going to show you now. And I'll sort of have this set, you know, between like -2, -3. I'm trying to mix low into it, so I'm not having to lower this too much, making sure that I'm getting my dynamics, and then we can like really push everything up at the back end. So these tend to not change. The only thing that might change later on is I might start pushing the limiter at the very end of my master process, just so I can get a little bit more like LUFS out of it, if it's like a client requirement, or I feel like we've got the space for it, like we can do it and we can get it louder, and I'm not going to be like dynamically squashing the record or like mashing up anyone's ears too much. First thing I'm going to do, and this is just my process, everyone's is different, but it works for me, so you know, take it or leave it. All the plugins I'm using here, I'll leave in the description for you so you can check them out. There's a lot of like plugin alliance stuff, whatever. But the first thing I like to do is do some sort of like broader EQ stuff. I don't really tend to have to do too much correctional stuff at this point. It's more just like boosting certain areas, so I'm not really like putting like a Pro Q4 on there. Sometimes I will if like I'm mastering someone else's record, but I've tend to have done all of those things in the mix, and I'm happy with the balance of everything for most part. This is more about just like enhancing certain areas and giving a bit more brightness and shine to it. So EQ that I like using at the moment is the AMEK, if I'm saying that right, EQ 250. This is a plugin alliance one. I just like the sound of it. I think it sounds great. It's quite subtle when it needs to be. Then it can also, you know, sort of like really enhance stuff as well when you start driving it. So, and I like the control. And another thing, especially when I'm mastering, I'm not a big fan of seeing like analyzers, right? I want to use my ears. If I'm seeing all of this graphics and stuff, you know, if it's subconscious or not, I'm going to start to sort of like tweak those things that I might be poking out too much or whatever, or what the EQ's telling me. Like, that's nonsense, man. Just use your ears. If it sounds good, it sounds good. So you'll hear me say that a lot. Like, I try to avoid using analyzers as much as I can, especially when it comes to mastering. So that's another reason why I'll use this, because it's a very basic, well, you know, it might not look basic, it's got a lot of knobs, but you know, it doesn't have loads of analyzers and stuff like that. So anyway, we'll just have a quick listen and I'll sort of like draw out what I want to do. Now, I'm going to pick a section of the song where he's sort of like singing from the hook to from the verse to the hook. And just for the purpose of this video, again, when I'm mastering, I tend to loop the whole song and I'll make broad judgment calls of the whole record, right? Not just the loudest point. When you're mastering, don't just go to the loudest point and master to that. Like, work with the record as a whole.
Never the type to be worried. I lied and why it was worried. So
So just a quick shelf, 10K, it's bright, it's nice. I have this EQ set, it's just stereo linked, so there's no mid-side or anything going on just yet. It's just working as the whole stereo field. And I quite like that, that sounds good, it sounds bright.
Never the type to be worried. I lied and why they was worried. So me I come to write to my story. Savages plenty. I was never the.
Now just listening, I feel like we could get maybe a bit more knock out of the kick. So I'll use this low end and I'm gonna kind of run around 100 Hertz, and I might just narrow the band slightly because I just want to kind of like focus in on that kick area, and I'm gonna boost that.
Never the type to be worried. I lied and why they was worried. So me I come to write to my story. Savages plenty. I was never the type to be worried. I don't need green light to move. I'm from my father, that's how it goes. You wake up and do what you do when you get up. Never the type to be worried. I lied and why they was worried. So me I come to write to my story. Savages plenty. I was never the type to be worried. I don't need green light to move. I'm from my.
Okay, cool. Just a bit of the low end, rounding it off, giving it a little bit more punch in that kick area, and then as well, just very subtly, I'm gonna drop this down to maybe like 50, 40, and put a shelf on it, and just maybe try boost the extreme low end as well, just to round that off.
Never the type to be worried. I lied and why they was worried. So me I come to write to my story. Savages plenty. I was never the type to be worried. I don't need green light to move. I'm from my father, that's how it goes. You wake up and do what you do when you get up. Never the type to be worried.
Cool, so I done that, and then I did just raise up where we were trying to find the punch, because it was sort of like muddying it out a little bit, and I wanted to give a little bit of separation between those two cuts, or boost, sorry. But that's rounded it off, it's making it sound full, it's giving it that low end. It's literally just like a 1.1 dB, it's tiny. This is 1.4. These are all very small adjustments, but as you can hear, if we A-B it, you're gonna hear a difference already.
Never the type to be worried. I lied and why they was worried. So me I come to write to my story.
Kind of like pushes everything out and makes it bright. A lot of that's coming from the top end, but it's definitely giving a little bit more roundness and punch to the low end as well.
Never the type to be worried. I lied and why they was worried. So me I come to write to my story. Savages plenty.
Now I just want to sort of try and tidy up a little bit of the low mid as well. So I'm gonna see maybe like around 350 mark, and do like a narrower cut, and just see if trimming some of that out is gonna like open it up and make it sound a little bit more polished.
Never the type to be worried. I lied and why they was worried. So me I come to write to my story. Savages plenty. I was never the type to be worried. I don't need green light to move. I'm from my father, that's how it goes. You wake up and do what you do when you get up. Never the type.
I think that sounds great. And then finally, sometimes don't always need to do it, but maybe just give a little bit more boost to the vocal. So I'm gonna go a little bit lower, maybe like around 9 something, widen the band and just boost up around that vocal area.
Never the type to be worried. I lied and why they was worried.
Just that half dB did enough, it popped it out.
Never the type to be worried. I lied and why they was worried. So me I come to write to my story. Savages plenty. I was never the type to be worried. I don't need green light to move. I'm from my father, that's how it goes. You wake up.
Cool. I'm actually just thinking I might even just drop that low end boost just a little bit, maybe just give it half dB.
Never the type to be worried. I lied and why they was worried. So me I come to write to my story. Savages plenty. I was never the type to be worried. I don't need green light to move. I'm from my father, that's how it.
Sounds great. Last thing I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna use this mono maker because I quite like how this sounds. Just mono everything out under 100. And I'm just gonna boost this very slightly on the width and see how that sounds.
Never the type to be worried. I lied and why they was worried. So me I come to write to my story. Savages plenty. I was never the type to be worried. I don't need green light to move. I'm from my father, that's how it goes. You wake up and do what you do when you get up, never the type to be worried.
So opened it up, sounds nice, it sounds tight, it's feeding into God particle nicely. We did see a little peak here, so let's just...
Never the type to be worried. I lied and why they was worried. So me I come to write to my story. Savages plenty, plenty. I was never the type to be worried. I don't need green light to move, I'm from my father, that's how it...
Cool, it was just from where we had done like an extreme boost. But I'm just gonna drop this just a little bit because we are running into it slightly hot. It's not peaking or anything by any means, but we're gonna be adding a lot more stuff. So the next thing I'll do, this is a trick I picked up from Ohad, mastering engineer, good friend of mine. Check him out as well. He's great. I believe he's got a YouTube channel. If he does, I'll link it below. He is an amazing mastering engineer. And if I was gonna master, if I had unlimited budget and my clients had unlimited budget, I would get all the stuff, all my mixes mastered by him, 100%. He works a lot with Tizio, guys like that. That gives you the idea of just the level of this guy. But he spoke about this technique where basically we're gonna take away the linking. So these now, the left and right channels are gonna work separately from one another and just bring in like a little bit of like width in the mid area without using mid side or anything. It's just a really simple technique, basically. So you unlink these. We're gonna go with the mid band, and I'm gonna put this at a K, and I'm gonna put this at 8K, if I can get there. It's quite sensitive, around 8K anyway. I'll do a more detailed tutorial on this. I might make it into a reel or something like that. Anyway, and then you do a wide band on both, fairly wide anyway. And all you do is around a dB, 2 dB. So we just start like 1.2 dB to start with, boost on both. So it's gonna like almost, you know, you think phasing or something, but it does. It really sort of like widens out the mid and it sort of softens it a bit, and it sounds really nice to my ears anyway. So let's have a listen.
Never the type to be worried. I lied and why they was worried. So me I come to write to my story. Savages plenty, plenty. I was never the type to be worried. I don't need green light to move, I'm from my father, that's how it...
It's really subtle, but it sort of softens the mids to me in my ears and widens them a little bit. It sounds really, really nice. So that's sort of my EQ. From there, what I'm going to be going to, obviously if I'm hearing anything else, sometimes when I'm doing making those adjustments, I start to hear things in the mix and I'm like, oh, I want to fix that, I want to do this. But to this and my ears now, it sounds great. So the next thing I'll do is normally add some sort of like light compression. Now I have a particular setting that I like to use on the Shadow Hills. I use Shadow Hills. People use loads of different mastering compressors, whatever works for you really, the flavor. I just like how dynamic this is, and it doesn't squash everything, and it has sort of like a sound and a grit that I like about it as well. So, and my ears are very used to it. But basically the preset that I normally start with this is the mastering medium PGM, and this is just very light. You know, I'm sort of just looking no more than a dB, 2 dB maximum worth of compression on my master bus. Just very soft. I'm already balanced. I should already be glued if I've mixed the record right. This is just a sort of like almost like sandpaper the mix a little bit, just to take any of those like sharp peaks away.
Never the type to be worried. I lied and why they was worried. So me I come to write to my story. Savages plenty, plenty. I was never the type to be worried. I don't need green light to move, I'm from my...
So to me, it's giving it a nice lift, and it's also just rounding everything off without taking away the dynamics. I love it. It sounds great. Again, I won't go into too much detail on all of this stuff for this video, because the purpose of this video is what I use around the God particle. If you want more detailed videos, like a dedicated video on this or something, let me know in the comments. Say, yo bro, make that video. I will do it. I am in the comments. This video birthed from a comment that I got on my YouTube video, on the last God particle video I did. So yeah, trust me, engage in the channel. I am watching and I am listening. That's there, God particle, boom. The next thing I'll do, this is where things can sort of switch up. It's like, what do I want from the record? Do I want it to be aggressive? Do I want it to be soft? Like, where am I trying to take it? With this, I'm like, okay, a bit of aggression is the style. It sounds good. I want it to sound gritty. So I'll probably be looking to like reach for like some sort of clipper at this point. So I'm going to go with like the Gold Clip by Schwab Digital. I've done videos on this plugin already. It is amazing. This is like one of my favorite plugins, and he's got the gold clip track as well, which is like a smaller version of this, less CPU intensive, that you can just like throw on all your mixes. It's probably on this mix somewhere as well. Like great for like kick drums, basses, stuff like that. Or also he's got the orange clip, and he has another plugin as well, which annoyingly is on all of my master chains right now, but it isn't out yet, so I can't talk about it. It is amazing, and the moment that he gives me the green light to go make a video and drop it, trust me, I will be. It is, I reckon it's at least top 3 plugins of 2025 for me. I cannot wait for you guys to check it out and make a video and let you know about it, because I'm going to be screaming it from the rooftops. It is dope. But unfortunately, I don't want to upset my buddy Ryan, so I'm not going to put it in this video. But it is on all of my master and my vocal bus chain at the moment. It's dope. You should see the group chat we have. We have like a group chat with all of these like amazing engineers and producers and content creators in, like, we're like the beta team, and like everyone is just going on about how amazing it is. So trust me guys, it's one to watch. It's going to be amazing. Right, so here I'm just going to do a little bit of clipping. This is such a great sounding clipper. It's emulated from like the Lavery Gold. The sort of like saturation harmonics that it brings out is just amazing, and you just don't need to go too crazy with it. Like, I'll just do a little bit of clipping.
Never the type to be worried. I lied and why they was worried. So me I come to write to my story.
This is the gold knob. This is sort of like bringing up like extra harmonics and stuff like that into it. It's like the Lavery Gold sort of like emulation. So the more you pull this, you know, I'll play it.
Never the type to be worried. I lied and why they was worried. So me I come to write to my story.
You can see it really starts to like pull out a lot of color and stuff.
Never the type.
But I feel like people can go a bit too crazy with stuff like that.
Never the type to be worried. I lied and why they was worried. So me I come to write to my story. Savages plenty. I was never the type to be worried.
Cool, to me that's sounding great. Nice clip, let's just A/B it.
Never the type to be worried. I lied and why they was worried. So me I come to write to my story. Savages plenty.
Adding a little bit of aggression to that bottom end and just pushing the song, making it sound a little bit more full. We'll do like an A/B of everything, so still leaving the God particle on.
Never the type to be worried. I lied and why they was worried. So me I come to write to my story. Savages plenty. I was never the type to be.
So you can hear just those few plugins and how much they're like enhancing the sound. We've only done very, very minimal adjustments to it, but those few plugins are already sort of like enhancing the sound, working really well with the God particle, and it's sounding really, really nice in my opinion. So from there, this is where maybe I would normally add that plugin from Swab Digital that isn't out yet, but say no more. Watch this space, the video will be out. From here, I'll sort of like take another listen. Normally I'll like listen from the very beginning, sort of see where I'm at with the song, what it needs.
Savages plenty. I was never the type to be worried. I don't need green light to move. I'm from my father, that's how it do. You wake up and do what you do when you get.
Cool, so I just think maybe just listening through, I could probably go a little bit more at this area, just bringing a bit more out from like the high mids.
When you get your price or face your move. I don't need green light to move. I'm from my father, that's how it do. You wake up and do what you do. You get your.
Yeah, that sounds great. It sounds a lot more dominant, a lot more powerful there. And then one of these things I'll do is just sort of like, again, I'm sort of treating it like sandpaper. I use Soothe 2 a lot. This has started to change a little bit. Sometimes Pro Q4 has been coming in and taming certain things if I don't like the broadness of Soothe 2 or what it's doing. But there's a particular set that I like and it seems to work for my chain. Occasionally I'm just sort of like working on the top end, just trying to do that, or like I'll be focusing in on like, you know, around like 80 to like 120 hertz, something like that, like just tidying up some of that maybe like muddiness or maybe even a bit further up. But most of the time there's a set on here that I really like called Leave Mid Range Alone. It's working in mid side, and I just really like how it sounds a lot of the time on my mixes and what I'm doing at this point in my master chain. That isn't to say it's all the time, but let's have a listen, see what it sounds like on here.
Like the man that was worried, so me I come to write to my story. Too many savages in my story. I was never the type
as you can see, I've adjusted it a little bit. I pulled the mix right down. I do like how it's sort of controlling around the mids, but it was sort of like ducking a lot of, it was misting the vocals, I'll say, a little bit. Obviously, when I'm using it on my master, I'll always try to make sure like my resolution and stuff like that is on the highest. I'm just gonna try 2 times oversampling as well.
How we do. You wake up and do what you do. You get your price or face your move.
Okay, that's a big difference. I like that. That's bringing a lot of the detail back and it's making it sound very clean and very crisp. So I like that and controlling it. Okay, so from there, it's sort of like pretty much where I'm at. There might be a few more little things. Let's just give it a little listen and I'll see if anything's poking out to me that I want to do.
I was never the type to be worried. I lied and why them was worried. To me, I come to write to my story. Savages plenty. I was never the type to be worried. I don't need green light to move. I'm from my father. That's how we do. You wake up and do.
Cool. The lows are sort of like poking out a little bit too much, so I might just put this back down to 0. See how that sounds.
You wake up and do what you do. You get your price or face your move. I don't need green light to move. I'm from my father. That's how we do.
For me, that sounds better. It's sort of like distorting a bit too much. Just check the clip.
How we do. You wake up and do what you do. You get your price or face your move.
We come through now, what them gonna do? Them a worry about we no worry about you. With you and your crew and all we been through. You know, no respect for we.
Fair, now I'm sort of missing it a little bit. Let's go like meet in the middle. Let's just do like 60B.
Respect for we no respect for you. Jamaican man are able. Hear me? Do just what you got.
Lower, I'm gonna move it off the shelf, and just so we're not taking all of that low end out.
Do just what you gotta do. Move out the way before we get messy. Now touch the road without spit and westy. Man back from Abuja to Manchester City. Catch up with the sheriff in a London city. Threats are simple, one look them tremble. Some wife you know outlaws don't play. Step on them with none but shell black. Sheriff and one Gargamel.
I don't need green light to move. I'm from my father.
Okay, cool. And then finally, I'll just be checking here, like, so see what we're sort of like getting out of our LUFS and stuff like that.
Crew and all we been through. You know, no respect for we no respect for you. Jamaican man are able.
So we could probably get a bit more out of that. Let's play it on the hook.
Do what you do. You get your price or face your move. I don't need green light to move. I'm from my father. That's how we do. You wake up and do what you do. You get your price or face your move.
We come through now, what them gonna do? Them a worry about we no worry about you. With you and your crew.
How we do. You wake up and do what you do. You get your price or face your move. I don't need green light to move. I'm from my father. That's how we do. You wake up and do what you do. You get your price or face your move.
We come through now, what them gonna.
Okay, cool. So I made a few adjustments. I'm getting like 9.6 LUFS. It sounds good to me anyway. There's probably a few last little bits that I would tweak in this, just listening through. I'll take some of my time, go check it in the car, things like that, and maybe tighten up a little bit at the low end in some places, just to really make sure that, you know, I'm not getting any kind of distortion or peaking and it sounds nice and not too muddy. But essentially, they're like the building blocks. This is sort of like where I'm at. It does change from record to record, but these are like the go-to. Just a little recap. Obviously, we have the EQ, AMEK, EQ 250. We've got 2 of those on there. One doing that OHAD trick that we spoke about earlier, where we de-link the left and right. Then we have the Shadow Hills, light bit of compression going on, going into the Gold Clip by Suave Digital for clipping. Then a little bit of like rounding off, tidying with Soothe 2, which is great. And then finally going into the God Particle and how, you know, and there's just small adjustments to sort of like tweak into that, get it sounding nice. And then obviously we just have our metering at the end here, just making sure everything's sweet. So, you know, a couple of honorable mentions that I might get in there. Spectre, if I wanted some like a bit more like detailed saturation in certain areas, certain frequency pockets. This new plugin that from Suave Digital, which I will definitely do a video as soon as I can. And, you know, anything else, there's a few things. Pro Q4 might live on there, sometimes multiband if I'm trying to rebalance some stuff. But most part, very subtle, just building it out. So, you know, let's listen. Let's just do a quick snippet finally before we go, with everything off and then everything on, just so you can hear.
Knees and toes tryna make some dough. Well, I the man them was worried. So me, I come the right to my story. Too many savages in my story. I was never the type to be worried. I lie the boy that was worried. So me, I come the right to my story. Savages plenty.
Sounding good to me, sounds colorful, sounds powerful, sounds good. Obviously this record's already out. My master and the mix will be slightly different on the final version, just because this is, you know, demoing and showing you what I'm doing nowadays. I think I did this mix in like 24. But yeah, I'll have that link below if you want to check it out. And I'll have the God Particle linked as well if you are one of the few guys that hasn't tried it out yet. I do think it's great. It is good for everyone. You know, if you're a beginner, it's sort of nice because it's quite simple. You can throw it on there. It will just enhance your mix a little bit, get you the loudness that you want, especially if you're mixing into it and you're not peaking. And then as I've shown here, you know, if you're a pro, intermediate, you can also really optimize it and use it for your workflow and get great sounding stuff out of it and great sounding music out of it in a really, what I think, simplistic way. So 100 times shout out to Jason Joshua, our Lord and Savior. Thank you, bro. Great plugin. I have heard rumor wheels that there might be a new version of this or an update coming soon. So you guys will be the first to know about that if it does. On my channel, I'll do a video on it. And yeah, this has basically been, you know, the plugin set and my master chain that I built around the God Particle, my update of the God Particle, the fact that I am still using it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure you smash the like button, give us a follow, subscribe. If you like videos like this and you want more, I'm going to be bringing back some of the podcast stuff as well. Obviously, you can check me out on my other podcast that I do with audio movers called Unsung, that lives on their channel. We've interviewed loads and loads of great guys, so check that out. That's we just finished season 1. Season 2 is in the works. If you want to know a little bit more about my workflow, my template, I'll have my mixing template linked below. You can cop that. I think it's like $19.99 on my site. It has my whole mixing template, my whole ethos built into it. That might help you guys improve your mixes and your workflow as well. I also have a recording template on there, so check that out. And enough talking, enough selling. Like, subscribe, do all that good stuff. Make sure you leave a comment if there's any videos that you want me to cover, any topics you want me to cover, and I will be on there and I will do it. So on that note, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Safe. Oh.